Hello everybody, I'm Gwen and welcome to At Home with Gigi. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today I'm sharing with you some of my favorite spring and Easter DIYs. A couple of them are a little bit older, so please show me some grace. I've come a long way since then, and I know that I have been away for a while, but I've had some health issues that just had to be taken care of, so I will be back very, very soon. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. Now let's get started. We're going to start this project by giving this little wooden bunny sign that came from the Dollar Tree one coat of the Waverly chalk paint, and the color is alabaster. And y'all, I love Dollar Tree, you know that, but these sponges that I got this last pack, as you see how I'm holding the sponge, they are terrible. It would not, it just kept wanting to just flop back and forth, so I was just holding like that because I was trying to just get through with painting my bunny. And I'm just going to use this sheet of scrapbook paper that came from Hobby Lobby and just put down a good layer of Mod Podge. And whenever I use scrapbook paper, I do use a heavier layer of Mod Podge than I would if I was using a napkin or something that's a lot thinner than this scrapbook paper. I'm just going to adjust it and try to center it as much as I possibly can, and then just smooth it. And I'm rubbing pretty hard. You can see I'm moving my table, but this is some really thick scrapbook paper. And I'm just trying to make sure that I'm getting all the air bubbles and excess Mod Podge out. And as always, I just use my favorite combination of scissors, sanding block, and handy dandy nail file to just remove all the excess scrapbook paper. And I'm just going to attach with some hot glue just this leftover scrap piece of floral foam from another project, and I thought it was just the perfect size, and I didn't even try to cut it down and even it out. And I'm just going to add in a variety of flowers that I've had left over from projects from last spring. And guys, I don't use any rhyme or reason when I create an arrangement. I'm using the term arrangement very loosely here. I just wanted it to look like a really wild, lush English garden. That's just the picture I had in my head. So hopefully I accomplished that. You're gonna have to let me know what you think. And y'all, I am not one that always knows exactly where I want a flower to go and exactly how I want an arrangement to look. I strictly do mine by trial and error, and if I don't like how it looks, it's going to come out and I'm going to keep placing it until I find exactly the right spot for it, or at least for me, anyway. What I kind of had in mind whenever I started making this arrangement was just like a beautiful English garden. And I just always picture an English garden. It's just full of pinks and purples and yellows and whites and just beautiful and lush. When we get to the end and you see how it's finished, you'll just have to let me know what you think. Did I accomplish my beautiful English garden? Smiling, but there's something missing in your eyes. Girl, I can tell that you have something on your mind. And these beautiful little delicate yellow flowers came from the Dollar Tree last summer as well. I am trying very, very hard this year to reuse and use up a lot of flowers that I bought last year, because I just kind of went crazy because they had so many pretty florals. So I have about 3 totes of leftovers from last year. So yeah, I got a lot to use up. Good vibes. I know you're all about the good vibes. Do you know how much I love you? Wanna see you smile. Where's the happy girl that I know with a heart? And after I let it sit for a little bit, I came back in the next day and added in a couple of more of the pink roses. I thought it just needed a little bit more of the larger flowers. And it might be too much, I don't know, but I just loved it. And I added in just a couple of more sprigs of the purple lavender. I was going to make this a hanging bunny, and you can see the ribbon laying there, and I really did go ahead and attach a ribbon to the back of it, and I just did not like the way it looked, so I removed the ribbon and decided to add it to my hut, and I am so glad that I did. I absolutely love how it looks in my hut, and I think my hut is just so cute and decorated all for spring and Easter. But I am just in love. I think this is my favorite. We're going to make a beautiful floral arrangement, and I'm going to use this glass vase that I had on hand, but you can use any type of vase, and this beautiful ribbon that I found at Walmart last year, and it was just so pretty, but I have not found a use for it yet. But I'm going to start by hot gluing it to my vase and just add just a very, very thin line of hot glue right along that edge so you can't really see it. You don't want to overdo it and have a big hot glue globby mess. And then I'm just using my little tool to help press that ribbon down so I don't burn my fingers. I'm just going to go ahead and snip off that extra and then add another very thin layer of hot glue and then just press it down, and I'm keeping it all right on that same edge. That way you can kind of put that towards the back and it won't be seen. And just for a little extra bump, I'm going to add this layer of this really pretty polka dot pink ribbon. And I can't really remember where I picked this up. I've had it in my stash for a year or so now. And whenever I see ribbon, and I love it, I just pick it up. So I can't really remember where this came from. I want to say Walmart, but don't hold me to that. And I'm just going to make a cute little bow using that same ribbon, and I'm just going to tie it off with a piece of jute twine. Instead of using floral foam, which can obviously be seen through my vase, I'm going to use these clear glass rocks that came from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to use that to hold my stems in place. The flowers that we're going to use came from Walmart, Hobby Lobby, and Michael's, and the ones from Walmart and Michael's I've had for a couple of years. Then the roses, the one that I just clipped off that came from Hobby Lobby, I picked those up this year back in January or February, I believe, and I just used those in my Valentine's Day video. But anyway, I'm just using things that I already had on hand or things that just were not very expensive that you can get for like 50% off when you go to Hobby Lobby. And I'm just adding in some of this beautiful lamb's ear, and I have not been able to find that at my local Walmart in quite some time. But I just loved it. It was just such high quality for something that came from Walmart, and I'm just adding them in and just no rhyme or reason. As you see, I put it in. If it's too long, I just go back and snip it off. And this baby's breath, that came from the Dollar Tree, and I picked that up last year. And I just love how this is just coming together. And again, if you don't have roses, whatever flower you may have on hand, any color, but I just thought these were so pretty, and I had them already, and I just love how it turned out. And as you can see, it didn't take very long at all to just put it together, and I think it is so pretty for really less than $10, because most of the things I already had on hand. If you have to go out and buy everything, of course it will cost a little bit more than $10. For this project, we're going to be using an 18-inch grapevine wreath, and I believe this one came from Walmart. Some of these plastic eggs from the Dollar Tree, and I believe I ended up using a bag and a half of the Spanish moss, and that also came from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to begin by putting down a good amount of hot glue, and then I'm just going to start patting down and placing my Spanish moss there on the top. And just be careful you don't burn your fingers. If you have a finger protectors or something like that from the Dollar Tree, you can use that. Or as you can see laying over there, my little spatula that I love to use. Just use something like that. Now this will get pretty messy, so you might want to have something up under the wreath to catch all that excess moss that's going to fall. And I will show you in just a minute how I prevent any more fallout when I get through placing all my moss down. Also, I am not going all the way around the wreath. I'm just going to go halfway around, maybe a little more than halfway around, but you can certainly go all the way around the wreath if that's what you want. But I was inspired by a picture I saw on Pinterest, and they had only gone like halfway or so around the wreath. So that's what we're going to do today. As I'm working my way around the wreath, I'm just pressing that moss into that hot glue. That way it will really adhere to the grapevine, because I don't want a lot of fallout. Although it is a good bit of fallout, but I just kept going around and just brushing off any excess, as you can see that I'm doing here. And then I would just go back and just patch in anywhere there was like empty or bald spots in my wreath. But to really make sure this moss is going to stay in place and minimize your fallout, I'm just giving it a really good spray with the spray adhesive from the Dollar Tree. And y'all, this stuff is no joke. It really works. I love this stuff. But I just give it a good spray. But you want to make sure when you're finished that you lift your wreath up, because you can see it's pretty wet right there, or your wreath will glue to the paper. I'm just going to use some hot glue and attach my eggs. Now you can have them all going in the same direction if you want, but I kind of like the look of them going in different directions. You know, like they're just kind of nestled in a bird's or chicken's nest, something like that. I'm going to be using these speckled eggs because I have a lot of them on hand, but you can certainly use whatever color that you want. If you want a solid color or do all one color, sparkly, whatever might be the case. As always, my DIYs are just inspiration for you. Just go in and make it your own and use whatever that you might have on hand. I just made a little loop out of this beautiful ribbon that came from Michael's, and I got it for just a couple of bucks on clearance last year. I thought it was so pretty and just went so well with my wreath. And as you can see, I'm just hot gluing the ends together just to make a loop, and then I just made a little simple bow to attach to the top of the loop, and then that's how I'm going to hang my wreath. And I just love this. I think it turned out so pretty. I am going to add just a little bit of hot glue to the back of the ribbon just to keep it from moving all around. So tell me, what do you guys think about this wreath? It was just so very easy to make, and it's just so cute and pretty for Easter. For this DIY, we're going to make a really plush bunny using this finger loop yarn, and I ordered this from Amazon. Actually, I got it back in December. I was going to make a snowman and never did, and it comes 3 in a pack. And then I'm going to use this little bunny wreath ring, I think that's what you call it. And then I'm also going to use a 14-inch wreath ring, say that 3 times in a row, from the Dollar Tree. As you can see, I'm just taking one loop and pulling it through the other, and really that's all you need to do to keep this in place. But I want to make sure as I'm starting that my yarn's not going to slip and slide up and down the metal of the wreath. So I just added just a touch of hot glue on each side, and I'm just kind of using my hand to hold what I'm looping around here at the beginning in place, because I'm doing it fairly loosely because I want my bunny to be, you know, a plush, fluffy bunny. As you can see, it took just a couple of minutes to get the hang of it, just exactly how loose I wanted it to be. But once you can get it going, it is just super easy.
pull into your driveway, it's a Saturday night. You look like $1,000,000 wearing that dress I like. You're smiling, but there's something missing in your eyes. Girl, I can tell that you have something on your mind. But I will make you forget all your sorrows. Let go like there's no tomorrow. Let's have a drink, just relax, all your problems will fade.
This extra piece that I am snipping off, I'm going to save it to wrap around one of my bunny ears. When I got to the point where I was wrapping the yarn between the ears, I just kept going right in between the ears, as you can see what I'm doing, hopefully, and just when I'm pulling it through, I'm trying to make sure I'm not pulling it too tight because I still want to keep that fluffy, full bunny look. I just kept wrapping in between his ears until I made sure all of that wire is completely covered. I actually had a lot of fun making this wreath, and I really think I'm going to order some more of this yarn, and then really when it comes to the holidays again, and make a snowman. I'm just going to continue to wrap the yarn up around the ear, and this is where I started to get worried that I was about to run out of yarn, because I didn't have much left. Even though I had 3 skeins when I started, I had used so much on the body of the bunny, I started to get really low, and I started wrapping it too tightly, and you'll see in a minute it just did not look good at all. It looked like he had some really skinny, skimpy ears, so I ended up going back and unwrapping it and then just loosely wrapping and just playing with it and fluffing it. As you can see right here, it's just too skinny right there. But if I had had one more skein, I could have really made him some really plush, fluffy ears like his body, but I didn't, so I just had to make do. And remember the piece of yarn I had left over from his body? I just used that to cover his other ear. And again, I'm just wrapping that yarn around this last ear, just wrapping it around there, making sure I get all of that wire covered up. Then all you have to do is just cut off the excess, and again, just pull that one loop through the other, and it really does. I have not had any problems, and I made this bunny and when I'm doing this voiceover, I did this bunny probably about 4 weeks ago, and it is not unraveled at all. I'm just going to push the yarn apart just a little bit so I can see the rings on each piece of the bunny, and so I can line it up, and then I'm going to use 4 zip ties, and I'm just going to put them through and attach them, but I'm not going to pull them completely together just yet because I want to make sure that I have everything lined up and as even as possible. After I get all 4 of them in there and make sure everything is lined up, I'm just going to pull them just as tight as I can because I don't want it to move around too much, and then I'm just going to take my wire cutters and snip those ends off. Now this is where you can get creative with your bunny. You can make it a girl bunny, a boy bunny, you can use whatever color, any type of flower that you want. And I was inspired by a picture I saw on Pinterest a few months ago, and I just loved how they had the roses going across the top of the bunny's head. So I decided to use these little foam roses, I think that's what you call them, and I found these at Dollar Tree when they had all the Valentine's stuff out, and I just love this peach color. It's just so pretty and just springy. Is that a word, springy? But anyway, I thought it was just so pretty and knew that this is what I wanted to do with them. And I'm also going to add in some of this lavender that came from I think it came from Dollar Tree last year, as a matter of fact. And I'm just adding in some little greenery and little sprigs around my roses. Again, this is where you could just completely make this your own. You could use any type of flower. You don't even have to use flowers. You could add a hat right here instead of the flowers. You could add a big fuzzy tail to the bunny. You could, just create a bow. I did make a bow instead of using a tail. I just wanted a bow to complement my flowers. And when you see this ribbon, you will know what I'm talking about. It is just the prettiest ribbon. It's very simple, but it's so pretty. I got it last year from Michael's when they clearanced out all their spring items, and I was trying to decide where I wanted it to go, but I finally decided to just hot glue it to his neck. I'm just attaching it with some hot glue. If you don't want to do that, if you want to be able to reuse your bow, you can always use another piece of ribbon just to attach your bow, and I think it turned out so gorgeous. I am just in love with my bunny.
I pull into your driveway, it's a Saturday night. You look like $1,000,000 wearing that dress I like. You're smiling, but there's something missing in your eyes. Girl, I can tell that you have something on your mind, but I will make you forget.
We're going to be making a wreath out of these beautiful tulips. These came from the Dollar Tree, and I've had them in my stash for like 2 years, and I finally have gotten around to using them. And originally I had planned to mix them with the purple tulips that you can see just barely see right there, but I actually decided to use all pink, and I'm so glad that I did, because this wreath turned out so beautiful. And I've already attached my bow, which I just used some beautiful white lace ribbon from Walmart, and then that pink burlap from the Dollar Tree. And this wreath was just so easy to put together. The grapevine wreath came from Walmart, and I believe it's an 18-inch, but you could really use any size that you wanted. You could even use the little small grapevine wreaths that you can find at Dollar Tree. I'm using these pink tulips to make this wreath, but you really could use any color or any type of flower. And right now Dollar Tree has some beautiful florals out for spring this year. When I made this wreath last year, it was for a sweet friend of mine who was really sick, and she just loved this wreath so much. And every time I look at it or look at this video, it just reminds me of her. She passed away a few weeks ago. I just miss her so much, and especially when I see this wreath. As you can see, the green leaves are starting to overpower the pink tulips, so I did go back and trim off some of those green leaves.
And I thought my youth would last forever. Take me back to when we were kids and didn't care if we were acting stupid, 'cause all we had was us. If I close my eyes and think about us, I can see the person I know I should be. 'Cause honestly, I don't have no time to waste. I'm trying to come back to you, because now I see we were meant to be. Where are you now? Heard you live far away, but just tell me where and I'll come see ya. 'Cause I'm afraid that I'll end up here alone. Hope you'll understand.
After I finished the wreath, I went back and looked at it and decided that it needed a little bit of something extra, so I just popped in a little bit of baby's breath, and I think that was just what it needed.
All we had was us. If I close my eyes and think about us, I can see the person I know I should be. 'Cause honestly, I don't have no time to waste. I'm trying to come back to you, because now I see we were meant to be.
All that's left to do is just fluff up your bow just a little bit, and I think it turned out just beautiful. I really love how this wreath turned out. I am definitely going to have to get around to making the purple one this year. For this DIY, we're going to be using one of these wooden eggs that came from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to give it a coat of Waverly chalk paint, and we're going to be using the color Alabaster. I know that I'm holding the paint sponge a little funny, but it was so floppy, it just would not. Every time I tried to paint, it just kept flopping, and I could not do anything. I should have just stopped and threw it away and got a paintbrush, but I didn't want to stop, so well, there you go. I let my little sign completely dry, and then I just went in with a pencil and my ruler and just drew in some of those faux shiplap lines, and then I'm just smudging it out with my finger just to give it a little bit of a distressed look. This part is completely optional. You don't have to draw in the lines if you don't want, and you definitely don't have to smudge it, but that's just the look I was going for. We're going to use the color Green Marsh from Apple Barrel, and you can get that at Walmart. And I'm just going to paint the little bunny there, just give him a good solid coat, and because I'm going to be covering him with Spanish moss, and if I happen to miss a spot with the moss, I just want to make sure that the wood is not going to show through. And this was left over from last spring, the little bunny, and where I did a project, and this came from those little tea light candle. Dollar Tree has them out every season, and this was the little bunny rabbit, and I just popped them apart, and this is the one that was left over. You can see the back where a little bit of the wood came off whenever I pulled them apart. I'm really sorry, I forgot to turn the camera on when I started hot gluing the moss onto the bunny rabbit, so sorry about that. But as you can see, I'm just adding the hot glue onto the bunny rabbit, and then just adding a layer of moss, and then I'm just using my little spatula to press that moss down. And I'm just going to continue all the way down the bunny, adding a layer of hot glue and then a layer of moss, and then just pressing it down with my little spatula. And just be careful that you don't burn your fingers, because I have gotten a few nasty burns whenever I do a project like this and not paying attention. I just want to take a second and say to my subscribers that are returning, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it so much. And to my new subscribers, thank you for being here. And if you're just dropping by, hi, hello, I'm Gwen. Welcome to At Home with Gigi. I really hope that you will decide that you want to stick around and become a part of the YouTube family. But again, thank you to everybody just for being here. I truly appreciate it. After letting the glue completely dry, I took it outside and sprayed it really good with spray adhesive. Some people use hairspray. I like spray adhesive, and I get that at the Dollar Tree as well. And then I let that dry again, and then I'm just using my little small scissors to trim off any excess moss, because I really love the look that they've had the last couple of years of the bunny rabbits covered in moss. And so I wanted to make my own this year, and so we're going to see how it turns out. I think it turns out pretty cute. You're going to have to let me know what you think. And y'all, that is not hot glue in the center of my poor little bunny. It is a really light piece of moss. And I got to looking at him and I was like, oh my gosh, what in the world did I do? But it's just a really light piece of moss, so I just left it to give him some character. And I'm using hot glue to attach my bunny to the egg. But you can use, if you want a more permanent hold, you can use E6000, or my personal favorite is the Gorilla Glue. That's the gel. But for this video, because I was trying to hurry up and get this done, I'm just using hot glue. And I'm going to create a handle to hang my sign, and I'm just using some beads. These colored beads came from Michael's, and I got those last year during their spring clearance. For that whole big thing, I got it for $3, and I just love it. The little containers, of course, came from the Dollar Tree, and then the natural colored beads, they came from Amazon. And I just repeated my pattern about 5 times around, just until I got my little handle as long as I wanted it. I mean, you can make yours longer, shorter. You don't even have to use beads if you don't want. But I like the look that it gives my sign. And I just used a piece of tape to twist around the edges. It just made that twine go through that little hole so much easier. And I'm just going to tie it off. I'm just going to double knot it to make sure that it's not going anywhere. But if you're going to give this away or something like that, or make it for someone, I probably would add just a little bit of hot glue, just for a little extra security. And I went ahead and made a little messy bow for my sign. I think I used about 6 or 7 different types of ribbon, and most of those, all of them actually, came from the Dollar Tree except for one. And it's you can see it laying on the floor. I didn't realize it had fallen. It's just a silky type ribbon that came from Amazon. And I just took a coordinating bead and ran a piece of floral wire through it, and then just wrapped it around the center of my bow several times. And I ended up using green floral wire because since I have moved a few months ago, I have organized myself into chaos. I can't find anything, so I couldn't find my regular floral wire, so I just used the green. And what I ended up doing was taking a little piece of twine and running it through that bead and tying it on the back side of my bow, and that way it covered up that green floral wire. Then I just fluffed out my bow just a little bit and hot glued it to the front, and that was it. I really think it turned out super cute. I really like this. Okay, so for this project, we're going to be using these beautiful little roses that I collected from all the different Dollar Trees in my area this spring. And I think they are just so gorgeous. And we're going to make a wreath out of them, and we're going to be using an 18-inch grapevine wreath, and that came from Walmart. See how beautiful these are? Oh my gosh, I am just so in love with them. Now just snip them all off, and I am not going to be using hot glue or floral wire to attach these. I'm just sticking them straight into the grapevine wreath, and see how well it holds them? Now, if you're going to sell this or give it away, or you want it to stay permanently attached, you're going to want to use some hot glue or floral wire, or maybe even both. But this is for myself, and I've got to start reusing some of my wreath forms because I am starting to run out of room for wreaths, or so my honey tells me anyway. But anyway, as you can see, I'm just sticking them in there and just kind of bending them to curve along the edge of the grapevine wreath there. And guys, it's really just that easy. I'm just going to continue on around going in one direction. You can put them in any direction you want, but I want them all to go in one direction. It's just, to me, more pleasing to the eye.
What's it like to be the one that he turns to when he's out of answers? What's it like to be the one that he comes to when he wants to dance? And I wonder what's that like? I have got him on my mind, but he doesn't know my name, and I'm running out of time. I wish you felt the same, and I'm acting stupid like every day. Don't know what to do or what I should say, 'cause I have got him on my mind, but he doesn't know my name. What's it like to hold his hand when he tells you that you are all he wants, and it's midnight?
And I think it's just so beautiful, just in its simplicity. I'm not using anything else with it, not putting a bow on it or anything else, just these flowers. And I think it just has such a wild, beautiful look. Thanks again so much for stopping by and watching my video. If you liked what you've seen, I hope you'll hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed already, and hit that like button while you're down there. It's absolutely free and it helps me out so much. Now, if you want to see some more spring DIYs, watch this video that's coming right up.